Hello and welcome dear students. Today's topic is Brahmanic education. After Vedic period, that is the end of 1400 BC, starts Brahmanic period. This is also called the post-Vedic period and is of 800 years duration, that is up to the end of 600 BC. This period comes between the end of Vedic period and the beginning of Buddhist period. Education system in Brahmanic period was considered as the best of all divine gifts. One of the important features of education during this period was that the Gurukul system was comparatively organized and regular. Brahmanic education was considered as the refined and developed form of Vedic education. It was different from Vedic education in the sense that it was education for life and not education for salvation only. As against Vedic education system, yajna gained importance and replaced the penance. During Vedic period, the penance was introvert, but during the Brahmanic period, it became extrovert. Efforts were made to maintain a balance between spiritual and material affairs. Now, various types of institutions began to emerge during this period, which helped a great deal in the expansion of knowledge. Such institutions were Shakla, Charan, Parishad, Kul and Gotra. The important salient features of Brahmanic education are, first one is the aims and objectives of education. The education system of Brahmanic period fully accepted the doctrine, education is the preparation for life, but life for them was both here and hereafter. It prepared the children for this and the afterworld. It's believed that Brahmanic education tried to pursue the same objectives which Vedic education had. However, with the passage of time and with change in the needs of society, the importance attached to them underwent change. The following aims were therefore pursued during this period. 1. All-round development of personality. Brahmanic education believed that human personality has many aspects like physical, intellectual, emotional, social, moral, religious and spiritual. The development of all these aspects in a balanced and harmonious manner constitutes all-round development of the personality. In this way, Brahmanic education aimed at the preparation for life as he was equipped with the struggle for existence. Second important aim, development of self-control. In Brahmanic education, much emphasis was laid on self-control. Students seriously practiced control over their instincts and emotions. The motto of student life was simple living and high thinking. Even the sons of kings had to lead the same type of simple life as the sons of common men. Third, inculcation of civic and social awareness. According to Brahmanic educational philosophy, civic and social virtues need to be inculcated in the students, which will develop social awareness in them. As such, education should aim at developing socially effective individuals, ready to sacrifice their personal desires over the societal needs and desires. The fourth important aim is preservation and transmission of culture. Culture means something refined and cultivated as against the raw and unrefined nature of man. It includes knowledge, beliefs, arts, morals, laws, customs, and habits acquired by the men while living in the society. Worthwhile experiences of the race also need to be preserved, polished, and transmitted to the next generation. Next aim is spiritual development. Brahmanic education emphasized spiritual perfection as a prime aim of education. It was believed that infusion of piety, propagation of purity of heart, and a religious mindedness lead to the highest ideal for life, that is salvation or moksha. For this purpose, certain rituals and duties were to be performed by the students in and outside the school. The next aim is character development. A good deal of emphasis was laid on character building in Brahmanic education. Good character is described as the possession of such personality traits which are in harmony with the inner nature of an individual and are in accordance with the values approved by the society. Morality and desirable behavior was considered as the highest dharma. The next aim is promotion of world brotherhood. Brahmanic education aimed at the ideal of world brotherhood and universal citizenship called Vasudeva Kutumbakam. For this, it laid stress on the promotion of virtues like love, truthfulness, fellow feeling, honesty, sincerity, cooperation, tolerance, peace, non-violence, justice, and welfare of humanity. Let's now discuss the curriculum of Brahmanic education. During Brahmanic period, the curriculum was more comprehensive than that of the Vedic age. Practically, all such subjects were included in the curriculum, which led to the all-round development of human personality. The main cause of curriculum becoming so comprehensive during Brahmanic period was the development of art of writing. The important characteristics of curriculum in Brahmanic education are: one, for example, is ample stress was laid on religious rituals. The pupil was not only made to learn Vedic mantras, but the curriculum also gave important place to religious rituals like karam, kanda, havan, yajna, etc. Thus, Vedangas and Puranas occupied a prominent place in the curriculum of Brahmanic education. Second, prosody or the chandas and rhetorics, that is the Pingal Shastra, were also given due stress in order to learn correct pronunciation of Ved mantras. Third important feature is subjects of spiritual and worldly concern were included in the curriculum in order to make the pupil a perfect person. The next important feature was, as the time progressed, two kinds of syllabi came to be prepared, one for short term and another for long term. There was provision for selection of curriculum according to the choice of a student as per his interest, aptitude, ability, and above all, his caste. In order to make it comprehensive, a long list of subjects were there in the curriculum of Brahmanic education. For example, Upanishads, arithmetic, phonetics, surgery, geometry, astronomy, politics, astrology, economics, history, animal husbandry, agriculture, ethics, military science, justice, theology, sculpture, architecture, fine arts, painting, and things like Sapvidya, Brahmavidya, Kalpa, and other subjects were included in the curriculum of Brahmanic education. Next important aspect of Brahmanic education is methods of teaching. In Brahmanic period, the art of writing had developed, as I said earlier, and so both oral as well as written education was practiced, but emphasis was still laid on oral education. Books were written with hand on the leaves of Talpatra and Bhojpatra. Students were given continuous practice in writing, and for this they were required to copy relic manuscripts. Now, the important methods that were used in Brahmanic period were: 1. Individual instruction cum self-study method. In Brahmanic period, individual instruction system prevailed. A limited number of students used to study under the personal guidance of a teacher in the Gurukul, that is the school. The teacher would recite the verses of the Upanishads and the students would follow individually. Elaboration would be done by the teacher on pupils' questions. The pupils had to remember the lesson by heart and meditate on it. Thus, this method would comprise listening, comprehension, contemplation, recall, and recollection. Next important method is hearing, thinking, and meditation method. These psychological methods were same as practiced in Vedic period. In the hearing, called Sarvan method, the pupil would listen to the teacher with full attention and repeat whatever was taught. Then, through thinking or manan, he would analyze the heard lesson, and after analysis, he would center his attention on certain basic elements through meditation. Thus, would assimilate the taught lesson. Third important method was discussion method. Sometimes education was imparted through question answer technique followed by discussion. It's said that the entire Upanishadic literature is on the question answer pattern. Debates, question answer sessions, congresses, conferences or sabhas also formed an integral part of education and were synonyms of discussion. In order to make abstract facts easy and understandable, the use of examples, illustrations, and similes was made by the teacher. The fourth important method of teaching was continuous writing practice. Writing was essentially practiced by pupils under the teacher's guidance. This formed a practical part of education and was useful for learning grammar, medicine, astrology, astronomy, arithmetic, etc. Necessary corrections would be made by the teacher in their writings, and thus the students developed this art effectively. Let's now discuss something about the teacher and his role. The teacher enjoyed significant position not only in the Gurukul but in the entire society. In the society, he enjoyed an enviable position. His place was second only to that of God. He was respected more than a king. The kings rose from their thrones to receive great teachers like Narada, Vashishta, and Vishwamitra. A well-known Sanskrit verse goes so far as to say, I quote, "The teacher is Brahma, the teacher is Vishnu, the teacher is the great god Shiva, the teacher is the great Brahman incarnate. Woe to the teacher." Unquote. To sum up, the teacher was supposed to perform the following very important roles. 1. Assist the students in the attainment of supreme knowledge, the real truth. Next, lead the students to develop and maintain self-restraint, discipline, and character. Third, accept the responsibility to bring about all-round development of his pupils. Fourth, propagate and promote the ideals of love, truth, peace, non-violence, and welfare of all. Fifth, prepare and equip the students for struggle for existence and to face the challenges of life with courage and persistence. At the time of admission and performance of Upanayana ceremony, the child offered some gifts to the teacher in the form of fruits, flowers, food grains, etc., which was called samidha. When education came to an end, the students paid Guru Dakshina to his teacher and left the Gurukul. Otherwise, education was given free of any charges, and paying for education would be considered a great sin. Now, let's discuss the organization, the administration, and the management of Brahmanic education. During Brahmanic period, the ashrams were generally organized and run by the Guru, the teacher, only. It was an individualized effort insofar as the policy and the procedure of education is concerned. All affairs of the school were managed by the teacher himself. Since education was so economical and cheap, and since the clientele was small, not much expenditure was involved. Self-made rules and regulations were followed by the teacher and the students. No guidance was needed from any corner of the society. No orders and instructions would flow down from the secretariat or the high-ups. It said, I quote, "The divine rays of enlightenment were diffused not by the government officers or the hierarchical institutions, but by the hermitages of preceptors and ascetics." Unquote. Now, the certification and felicitation aspect of Brahmanic education. On completion of education, the students would leave the ashram after having stayed there for varying periods of time, as I said earlier, 12 to 36 years. At the time of leave from the school, they would renounce the dress, take the final bath in rose-scented water, and prepare to leave the ashram. Before leaving the ashram, they would pay Guru Dakshina and leave to enter domestic life called Grihastha. Towards the end, a convocation type function was held to bid farewell to the students and to give them some pieces of advice. This was called Samavartan Samaroha. This exhortation contained golden instructions which helped the student to make his journey of life happy. The convocation address was redolent of high regard, confidence, love, devotion, wisdom, detachment, and mundane as well as extra-mundane salutariness. It's evident that the function marked the end of education without any felicitation, but with the certification that the educated person is now a refined and cultured person, a useful citizen, and a perfect social human being. His usefulness in the society was the real test of being educated or otherwise. The society would in turn certify his scholarship and other humane characteristics. With this, we come to the end of today's lecture. I think you have enjoyed this lecture. Thank you for watching.